This is Brindlewood Bay, the ninth step, part 8. Let's do a little bit of recapping. So we're doing Have Yourself a Merry Little Murder. This is the one where Miles Greaves, the founder and owner of the Bel Canto Concert Hall, died, uh, possibly of natural circumstances, the week of the big Christmas gala in Brindlewood Bay. His great nephew Nathan got drunk at the wake and loudly claimed that Miles was murdered. And then Nathan ended up dead, apparently bludgeoned to death on the head on the main stage of the Bel Canto. And then we've had another person die as well in the middle of the investigation. Sam Cass ate some bad queso, we think, we're not 100% sure, and died there as well. So we have an interesting little cast of characters here. We have Celia Domingo, who had access to Nathan and could have done it. Celia is very involved in the planning and execution of the gala. She's also a singer, and she is also Alice's great niece. We have Winston Greaves, who has taken over the business now that Miles, his father, is dead. We have Ches Oppenfieri, who is Celia's ex, who cheated on her and is in town. We don't know if he's involved in the murders or not, but he is there and causing trouble in a different way. He has recently purchased a reindeer farm in an effort to become more country and rural-fied and win back the love of Celia, and it might be working. We have Teresa Horn, who is Winston's sister and Nathan's mother. We have Rosella Swindon, who is the board president of the Bel Canto. We saw her briefly. Howard Hawley, a marketing rep from the Hawley Stamp Card Company. Also, we saw him briefly. Alexandra Windsor Greaves is Nathan's cousin, Miles's granddaughter, and Winston's daughter. She's a kind of an influencer. She's a little obnoxious. And finally, we have David Chen, voice talent manager, Celia's friend, possibly in love with Celia. There might be a thing there. We don't know for sure. But in any case, that's what is the story with our kind of principal cast of characters. I owe you both two clues from last time that I have not defined yet. We off camera were kind of deciding what was happening when those clues were discovered, and we have settled on we're not 100% sure, we don't remember, and so we're going to say these clues were just found in the corner of wherever your characters were. You spied these things, and so this is what we've got. Rosemary, you spied a shattered gold locket with no picture in it, but the initials MG on the face. And Doll, you discovered a Santa hat, dirty, with a bit of dried blood on the inside, white trim. So that is your clue. That puts you up at 6 clues on this complexity 6 mystery. A decent number. You may want to find a couple more. I don't know. The very last thing we saw was Celia having a sort of like makeup letter delivered to her from Ches via a reindeer. And I'm going to add one more detail as well that I did not add last time. Ches has put a new engagement ring on the reindeer's horn. So there's an engagement ring as well. And then Ches comes out and gets on his knees and takes the ring off of the horn. And he is going to try to rekindle his thing with Celia, even though he's a dirty, cheating dog. And also kind of a opportunistic capitalist dog as well. So this is where we're at. I can't remember who was on site for seeing this scene. I think all of you were.
Alice and Muriel.
Okay, was it Alice and Muriel? Okay, yeah. Well, so, Alice, this is your great niece, and she might be getting into a bad situation. Or I don't know, maybe he's changed his ways. But in any case, what do you do?
I'm going to deep into the deep toolbox and repertoire of every great elderly investigator ever. And Alice is going to pretend to have a heart attack right there on the scene. I'm going to do the This is
I
more
love it.
common in elderly men than women, but
But here we are. I love it. That's really great.
Muriel, who is standing next to her, completely unfazed by the theatrics, just like is standing next to her and just kind of just not even looking, just like, don't ruin this for them. This is a sweet moment. Just,
he's a dirty, rotten cheater that's broken her heart
and
many a
now,
times. And now my heart is being ripped to shreds by all the Jiffy biscuit mix I've utilized in my cooking. There's a cat somewhere.
Fabulous. This is a night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I am afraid that Celia is going to say yes without actually really thinking about it. I'm okay if Celia says yes, but I want her to think about it. I want these kids to think about these things. They don't. Nobody stops and thinks anymore. Yeah.
It's worse than that. You have an actual heart attack.
Jesus. Okay.
It's going to be composure, regular
Okay.
dice. So go for it.
Okay. Composure regular dice. All right. We're gonna use these Oddity Roadshow dice. Shout out Oddity Roadshow. It's an 8.
Okay, that's not bad.
Oh, well, it's technically a 9 with my +1, but
Here's what's going to happen. You're going to succeed.
okay.
You will forestall Celia accepting Chez's re-proposal. The complication, there is going to be a complication. I think that you spook the reindeer and the reindeer starts going ham, and Muriel will have to deal with the reindeer. So if you're okay with that, then we'll roll forward.
As much as I want to put on a crown, I also want to see Muriel.
Wrangle a
Muriel
reindeer.
McGregor, reindeer wrangler. Yeah.
All right. So I like the way you've already described it. So I'm going to just say that Celia's like, oh, Aunt Alice. And she like pushes Chez out of the way. The ring lands in the snow. She runs over and she's like, she runs to you. Muriel, when Chez falls back and Celia jumps up, the reindeer starts kind of losing it. And the reindeer like rears up on its rear hooves and is going to stomp down on Chez if you don't do something about it.
Yeah, I think Muriel is going to run forward, grab some like tinsel from like a nearby decoration and like and forcibly like hop on the back of the reindeer and like wrap the tinsel around and be like and like pull as if it was like the reins of just like be like, okay, Cupid, okay, easy there.
I love it. Night move with vitality. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I'm afraid that it's going to stomp down on Chez.
I think it's worse than that. It's going to stomp down on Chez, and then it's going to turn into that thing that the midwife summoned earlier. Go ahead and roll with vitality.
Yeah, happily going to do that. Numbers are hard. That would be a 14.
14, very good. I'll give you a clue as well.
Hell yeah.
Go ahead and just describe how you wrangle said reindeer.
Yeah, she leaps on its back and just like using the tinsel, just like kind of like wrap around it as like some kind of like makeshift reins and just kind of like, pulls and steers it so it like when its hooves stomp down, it's next to Chez, just missing him. It kind of like bucks for a moment and like freaks out, but she's able to steer it, kind of like kicking and over towards the buffet table, where it like starts to calm down, and then she just kind of like once it like rub it's like hand on the neck like shh, it's all right, you're good, and just brushing its neck, she'll like climb off very delicately and just go over to like the Chex Mix and just like eat some whatever this is, it'll be nice, and it's just like feeding the reindeer and, oh, you're a beautiful boy, aren't you, just kind of really starting to be very lovely to it.
I love it. Here's your clue that you get for your 14. When Chez falls down, something falls out of his pocket. Some kind of contract. between him and the bel canto. It's unclear what the nature of the contract is, but it's been hastily torn in two. That's your clue.
Good to know.
You now have a pretty good 7 clues. Is there anything else we want to do, or do we want to put you all together?
I think the only thing I thought about before wanting to do anything else is probably want to go check around backstage, because like
Okay.
we haven't really looked too much into like the stuff that happened like behind the scenes at the bel canto.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of like a crucial piece of the puzzle there.
I think we can maybe do a little bit more at the Greaves estate as well. So we'll do a couple more scenes and then put you all together. So let's cut over to Doll. Doll, Teresa Horn has to go attend to something and leaves you in Nathan's, her son's bedroom.
That's okay. I was distracted by something in the corner anyway.
Indeed, that's maybe when you find it. I do want to paint the scene for Nathan's bedroom though. So Nathan has a closet full of charcoal colored fleece vests, an anime body pillow on the bed, and a Gordon Gekko Greed is Good poster. Let's paint the scene. What in this room tells us that Nathan Greaves was a finance bro? Apart from the things I've already described.
Savage writing.
Like Nathan Haig has like a computer like stuffed into like a corner, like the dual monitor setup. For some reason, it's unlocked still, and like it's just open up to like Reddit, and like there's like on the one side, and then it's like Bitcoin prices on the other.
He has a whole shelf of like those pop culture finance books, the wisdom of finance, get rich quick, rich dad, poor dad, the highly motivated 5 people you meet in heaven, all those things. And they're all turned so that when you walk into the room, it's the first thing you can see is this row of books to make it look like, he's highly educated. There's a thick layer of dust on the books, and clearly none of the spines have been cracked, so didn't write it or didn't read them.
If one were to look into his closet, he has on an absurd amount of fleece vest jackets.
There is upon a dresser a wooden holder that holds a pin, and it just looks like a basic pin. And on the plaque, it says Jordan Belfort's pin I sold to him.
Nice. Loving it. Okay, so we're all I will point out that the fleece vest jacket was a detail that I'd said.
Oh, wait, was it? Oh, I didn't hear that. I'm so sorry.
That's
I didn't hear that.
I'll give you another shot.
Give a different one. I'll give it. Wait, hold on. Wait, retake.
But I get where you're going with that though, right? Like that's
yeah,
a finance bro thing. Yeah.
Totally I didn't even hear that. That's funny. Great. Then he has a
North Face, of course.
Obviously North Face. Okay. So the other thing he has that distinguishes him as a finance bro is hold on, I can do it, I promise. He has in his little desk set up there that there is a framed photograph of him in front of a helicopter with God, who is that British businessman, the one who likes to go to space? He has the long blonde hair.
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson, yeah.
I thought you were going to see a photo of the bull on Wall Street, which would have been also pretty good.
I
love it. Thank you. Okay, so Doll, you have this is fantastic context for the mystery, even though not an actual clue. What do you do while you're there alone, or do you just find the Santa hat and then go?
I'm going to take a look around his room to see if there's anything that might indicate why he thought was it his father that was murdered, or his uncle?
It was his. It would have been his
grandfather.
Grandfather, yeah.
Yeah. to see why he thought his grandfather was murdered.
Go ahead and make a how are you looking on the computer or?
I'm not very good with computers, so I think I'm probably just kind of digging through his desk drawers.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, make the meddling move with reason.
Because my memory isn't super great, I take out one of my bingo blotters, and every time I look at a page, I dab it so that I remember I looked at that one already as I go through.
That's unhinged behavior, but I love it. All right, so go ahead and
Normal,
roll.
what are you talking about?
Go ahead and roll with advantage if you're marking that.
And that's a 10. That's a 10. Right? Yeah, that's a
Fantastic.
10.
We'll come back to your clue in a bit. Rosemary, you're still downstairs, and maybe you've been left to your own devices as well. Where do you go, or what do you do? And there might even be more places in the house specifically to go to. Miles Greaves' study, for example, is available. If you want to go take a look
Oh,
at
I
that.
want to go there.
There is inside the study a wall made entirely of bookshelves covered top to bottom with lightly read volumes. A grand mahogany desk, no one reads in this family. A grand mahogany desk anchors the room, and a bank of windows floods the room with moonlight presently. Paint the scene. Looking around, how can we tell that Miles truly loved the people who worked at the Bel Canto?
I think like up on the wall, like there is the picture of like the bel canto, and like all the staff are in like the picture, and Miles Greaves is also in the picture smiling very widely.
There is a framed program for a 7th annual crawfish boil and rendition of Elton John's Aida with a ticket stub beside it.
What is this chaotic energy of today's session? It was the reindeer.
I have
the
no
reindeer
clue.
did
It's
it.
the
Yeah,
reindeer
it was the
got
freaking
me.
reindeer.
I think he also has the first dedication sign that was ever on the building. It's been removed and updated to reflect, new fire standards. But the first one that ever got put there, he now has that on display.
There is a collection of like papers that Miles was keeping on his desk that outlined it, like names all the Bel Canto. It's like a little bit like a ledger page, names all the Bel Canto employees, and it has like dollar amounts next to it, mostly in the upper hundreds, some even touching into like the low couple thousands. And it's pretty evident that Miles was like regularly giving money to his employees, like to help them with any like financial concerns they may have had, basically. But like they're all like, they were all loans, air quotes, but he really just kind of just keeps track of just who has needed what, and he hasn't really noted anything about getting paid back at all. He just wanted to make sure that they were supported.
It's like when we do the Zine Quest loans, I never ask for the money back. I just let them keep it. Unless like some people like insist on paying it back, but I never like go get it back. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Let's see here. Not that I'm putting myself in the same level of the venerable Miles Greaves. Let's see here. Well, so what do you do, Rosemary?
I think as I'm looking around, like looking around at his desk, I because of the chaotic energy, like normally I wouldn't ask this in this space because like it feels like a very safe space, but oh boy, rolls so far. What is about to happen? Like because of the
Oh, what an interesting thing. I love this because I have to like then think of something because often I have nothing in mind. So,
Sorry, Jason.
That's the beauty of it, though. That's what it's meant to do. It's meant to like force me to do
Think
something.
of the location expansively, Jason.
Indeed. I mean, I could just say nothing, of course, but I think I'm not going to. I think what I'm
If
doing
you're
instead.
not sure about how to think expansively, I have a podcast that you should listen to.
Yeah, it's a thing. thinking expansively, there is someone just outside the window who is watching you.
Oh, why?
Because they have a gun and they are going to shoot you if you get too close to the truth.
Oh my god.
You can just leave and avoid this.
You think Rosemary's gonna leave from a dangerous situation? Probably not.
I doubt it, but you have the option.
Okay, I'm going to try to slowly shuffle my way to the wall where like the window is, and
Yeah.
just like try to get out of line of sight.
You can do that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then what?
I'm scooting towards window, and yeah, okay, make it detailed. I'm just gonna try to open the window outward, because I imagine like they're like crept on like the windowsill and just like holding on or something of that nature. So if I open outward, they may fall.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I like it. I'm into that. Do the night move with composure. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
It's not gonna work because that's not how this window works, and I'm going to just get shot.
Yeah, and then what's worse than that, they're going to come find Doll as well. So go ahead and roll with composure.
I'm not gonna throw a Billy Bass at them. I don't.
I would object to you having that with you, I think.
Yeah. And with composure, that's fantastic. That is a 10 total.
Huh.
I don't die today.
You not die today. If you want to mark, if you want to bump it up, I'll give you a clue as well.
No, thank you.
All right.
I've spent a lot of masks.
Fair enough. I like I'm going to take the narration because you can't be allowed to see who it is. So
Yeah.
as you go to push the window open, your instincts prove correct. Perhaps you just heard a noise and you just acted on instinct, or who knows. But in any case, you hear this like, ah, and then a thump in the snow, and then you see a shadowy figure running off into the tree line.
Mhm.
But you're good to go for now. Doll, I owe you a clue. We'll come back to it in a bit. Let's check in on Alice and Muriel. So Alice, well, first of all, what are we doing with Alice? Alice, are you going to like recover miraculously, or are you going to wait for the voluntary EMS to come get you?
I think if EMS shows up, Alice is going to be obstinate in having them help, because Alice is like, my niece is here, my great niece is here. Just gonna look up and be like, Celia, and just like hold her hand and everything and look at her and be like, oh, you noticed? I just didn't. I'm so foolish. I got caught up in the moment and everything, and just seeing a reindeer and the Christmas spirit. It was all too much for me. You know, this reminds me of a time when Trooper was going to propose to me and we were in Aspen. There was a tremendous ski murder that happened, and it was just an awful tragedy, and we were taking photos, and he got down and I thought he noticed some evidence, but no. He pulled the ring out and I said, Trooper, you're not going to propose to me in this snow like this. Everybody knows that Christmas proposals never work out. But you're here. Thank you.
She's like, I'm just so glad you're okay. And she turns, and the reindeer and Ches and maybe even Muriel are nowhere to be found. And she says, well, I guess, well, here, let me help you up. And she's like, if you think you're okay, otherwise we can keep going inside. I can take you to the hospital or whatever you need.
Oh no, I can already feel like the feeling coming back in my left arm, and other symptoms that heart attacks occur are already receding.
She says, I better stick close with you. Come on. And she,
That's good. You should stick right. I miss you too. You've been so busy. You haven't,
I know. Well, it's the gala. I mean, it's such a big deal, and it means so much. And then this year's been so chaotic. And then David Chen walks up, and he's like, "Hey, I heard some commotion out here. Is everything okay?"
Oh, David. Thank you so much for checking in on little old me. That's so thoughtful of you. I can't seem to notice. I think Ches ran off, didn't he? I wanted to talk to him, but I don't see him anywhere.
And I think that he is wearing a goofy Christmas sweater, and it's one of those ones that lights up. And she's like, "Does your shirt light up? Or does your sweater light up?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And he goes to like plug in the little battery on his hip, and he like shocks him, and and she's like, "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" And the next thing you know, they're like, they're together while to prevent him from being electrocuted by his dumb Christmas sweater.
Alice is
Meanwhile,
going to slowly back up
Yeah,
and just take a
exactly,
quick
yeah.
photo and look at David and just go,
Good,
and then
yeah.
fade away.
I love it. Let's check in with Muriel. So Muriel, where did you end up post reindeer?
I think probably wandering. I think I'm still holding the reindeer unless someone's like taking it away from me. So I'm just kind of like walking around with a reindeer now, I guess.
I love it. Yeah,
It's just kind of like really just like, oh, sweet boy, you're so good, noble, walking around. I was torn between wanting to go like poke around backstage or even go poke around the Holly Card Company stand.
I
Not
think
sure.
either would be fine. Yeah. The reindeer will probably be good for backstage because
think backstage,
it'll
yeah.
distract people, right? People will be like, "Oh, a reindeer,"
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Backstage at
it's
the Bel
spacious and quiet.
Canto. Yeah. The backstage at the Bel Canto, there are giant sized set decorations. I think I've even described this already. A teddy bear with a red bow around its neck, gilt boxes tied with ribbon, a toy train. There's a seamstress who's busy kind of letting out a costume, and you can hear the choir in a small practice room adjoining the backstage area. We might have done this already, I can't recall, but looking around, how can you tell almost everyone here is from out of town?
There is one person backstage, and there's always somebody, especially in these New England towns or when it's cold, that is still wearing shorts, is a shorts person who just refuses to wear pants or doesn't own a single pair of pants, just walking around in shorts.
There are stacks of brochures all around saying about this bed and breakfast versus this bed and breakfast, and here are all the sites you can see in Brindlewood Bay. Go look at the cliffs. Go look at the whaling museum. All the interesting sights to be seen.
I think it's a rather like a fashion sort of thing of like sort of like the clothes they're like bundled up like majorly, like they're wearing sweaters on top of sweaters, like and like some of them are even wearing jackets on like inside. It's if you're native to Brindlewood Bay, like you know exactly how many layers you need to for the winter, and like you don't need to bundle up this much. It's not that cold. I mean, some of the high school boys they wear shorts out in the winter. Like, come on.
I think that a lot of the techies and helping hands are out for a smoke break. Some of them are just kind of meandering about, but it's more of like a surface level vibe thing of like none of them are like not unhappy, but like it's so evident that it's like being here and even like being in town is like it's all work minded. It's like this is a place we're here for our job as traveling technicians. It's not like, oh, now we're hanging out at our favorite bar. It's like now we're just waiting for call time.
Nice. Okay, so Muriel, you're back there. What do you do?
I think I'm pulling my new lovely reindeer friend around and taking a gander at all of the little kind of, there's costuming racks you said, and you have to remind me, was Miles died of natural cause, but Nathan was found dead on the
On the
main
stage,
stage.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then like, did we ever establish his cause of death, or
Yeah,
was
he
it
was
just
hit in the back of the head.
Yeah. Then I think what Muriel's mostly doing is taking a look around. I think she gets the idea of like looks up, sees like the lighting catwalk, and is just like, that might be a good place to drop something on someone's head.
Yeah.
And then, to do it discreetly. So I'm gonna, leave the reindeer by the prop table, give him a good pat, hope he doesn't chew anything too important, and I'm gonna go up on the catwalk and start looking around up there.
I like it. I'll let you roll with advantage because of the reindeer.
Fun.
Meddling move with composure.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, with advantage too, right? Yeah, my advantage die. It's already pretty good. That's yeah. With composure, that is a 9.
A 9. You are going to find a clue up in the lighting catwalk, but I owe you a complication.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I want to go with this? You're going to find your clue, and I'll get to that in a bit, but there is an initial problem.
Mhm.
I think from your vantage point, you have a good view of something that you might want to put a stop to, depending. We'll come back to it though. So, Doll, I owe you a clue. You were looking through books and things, looking through decks. You find a checkbook with several checks out of sequence missing.
Who does that? Who goes in the middle of a checkbook and uses those checks?
Yeah, it is weird.
I
It's a
thought he
weird
was
thing
a
to do.
finance bro.
That might be evidence that he is a finance bro, for all we know. He's got to fund backing all those IPOs. Fantastic. What was your die roll, Doll?
10.
Okay, so yeah, you're clean and free. Rosemary, you now have easy access with no stalkers outside. What do you do?
I am looking around like the desk, checking like sort of like what papers have been left behind because like all these murders happened right next to each other. Like the body's barely even in the ground at this point, so some of them may be left behind or something.
Do meddling move with reason.
Mm-hmm. My goodness, my dice are kind to me today. A 10.
Nice. All right. Oh, let's go with a classic. You find a letter from Miles's lawyer saying, "I've made that change to the will that you requested." Classic clue.
What is the actual like legal term for like a lawyer who does like the works in wills?
Oh,
Like,
estate planning lawyer.
Yeah, Brindlewood Bay must have the best like
Estate
industry for
planning
that.
lawyer, yeah. Absolutely.
All played by Frank Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So I think we're pretty well settled at the Greaves estate. Let's check in with, I think Alice is pretty well settled too. Let's just wrap up this stuff with Muriel. Muriel? I don't know if it's something you want to see or don't want to see, but it's interesting.
Mhm.
You see Ches being comforted by someone backstage. And by comforted, I mean she's got her hands all over him and he's got her hands all over her.
Who is it? Or is it just a random person?
It's not somebody you recognize.
Okay. Feel like Furrowed brow. I think.
I'm going to say this is your clue too.
Okay. Oh, okay. That he's. Ooh. I was thinking about putting on a crown, but that adds an interesting kind of spin on things. Although I think Muriel in this moment recognizes the error of her ways, how easily swayed into believing Chez's opportunism she is. I think realizes that he is not a strapping young farmer ready to throw off the shackles of urban living. He is in fact just a showboater, and even worse, probably gonna make that reindeer farm like super trendy on those social media pages. I think what she's going to do is kind of just like walk over like to like where they're like, you know, she's up on the catwalk, so like looks over, just kind of like squints, thinks she is going to like take out like there's like a sandbag or something. I'm not gonna drop a sandbag on anybody. Let me just, okay, I saw some eyes. No, I'm not gonna murder anyone. But I'm going to like take out Isaiah Langmore's key ring that I have, which I assume has some kind of like Swiss Army knife on it, and I'm just gonna like stab and cut one of the sandbags a little bit so it just begins like spilling sand directly onto like the woman and Chez, just so it's all up in their hair and just fully uncomfortable. Yeah.
I think you then realize it's Alexandra when he moves out of the way.
I quickly duck out of the scene.
Mm-hmm. And that gives you 10 clues in total. So I think that that's probably plenty. We will put the Mavens together for the big resolution. Let's take a 10-minute break so you all can take a look at your clues and start to come up with some theories, and then we'll come back and discuss them.
Mhm.
Okay, we are back, and the group is engaged in a lot of very intensive discussion about what we believe happened. There are so many possibilities. Let's review the clues first, though, just for people watching the video. So there was an emerald ring with an engraving that said "payment in full," found in the queso, which may be which could be important. Celia was getting angry text messages from Chez with a quote, "You are going to find coal in your stocking." Maybe it was Chez, maybe not, who knows. Teresa Horn is covering up some bruising around her wrists. There was a menacing card that says, "Though the years we all will be together if the fates allow," in red crayon found in Sam's business card holder. A shattered pocket watch with MG on the face. A dirty Santa hat with, was it a pocket watch or was it a locket? I thought it was a locket.
Oh, you possibly said the locket.
It was a locket. It was a locket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A dirty Santa hat with dried blood on the inside. A contract between Chez and the bel canto hastily torn in two, which fell out of Chez's pocket. A checkbook with missing checks out of sequence. I can tell a Canadian wrote that. A letter to Miles about changing the will. And Chez is having an intimate moment with Alexander. So,
Alexandra,
or maybe, yeah,
I'll fix that.
That'd be a real plot twist, right?
Me?
some random person named Alexander. Okay, good. Love it. Yeah, there's so many possibilities here, so many angles. What do we think? You may have to explain away some clues, right?
I was about to say, like, I think a clue we can explain away is the dirty Santa hat with dried blood on the inside is like Nathan was wearing that when he went on his drunken tirade about like it being the murder. Which is like one angle we were thinking about taking. I'll let everyone else attach clues to that, but I think that he was wearing that, and that was just like
someone grabbed it in their distress or something.
Yeah, just like grabbed it and like and discarded it.
Didn't think to give that to the police.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like that is what he was wearing. But I think the idea is like, so Miles was not murdered. Miles died of natural causes, but it is a Knives Out situation where like the spoiled like finance bro Nathan here, because the will change will play into this, I think, is like he showed up like drunk on a tirade about how like it must have been murder. My great uncle would clearly not have done this. We're his family, for crying out loud. This makes no sense. But he wasn't killed for claiming it was murder. He was killed for saying something to someone else later that he should not have said, and we're now figuring out what that was and who that was to. So that's at least my idea of like, I think the frame of like why Nathan was killed.
Yeah,
So I don't know where
yeah.
else we're thinking.
But then there's also Sam's death to cope with too, right? This is another thing too. There's 3 deaths, right? Yeah, it's like really
Mhm.
complex.
Which makes me
Uh,
think that like Sam is there is a business angle involved just because of the whole like Sam was the managing director.
He was, yeah.
What are you thinking, Chaotic?
like I definitely think it was because like the emerald ring ended up in the queso because like Sam ate the queso. Like
Mhm.
that's like the murder thing. So
But I also
uh
ate the
Maybe
queso.
Sam was wearing the ring when he was getting his queso and it fell off of his finger.
mm,
Oh, so he could have been
because
like
like
he could have been killed in any way, but then he just was he happened to drop his ring in the queso. Oh,
Mhm.
so maybe Sam had
Okay.
been involved
So-
with the death of Nathan or Miles. Hmm.
And like the
Wondering if
payment,
it's the duo murder thing, and then the one
maybe.
murderer knocked off the other.
Well, maybe it's like, oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe like, so like the payment in full, like engraving. My first thought was like that. Oh, that's like a threat. That's like a, but like it could just be that maybe that saying of payment in full, similar to how like the Greaves have they're like though they're not the original inhabitants of the manor, has like the seals with like the Latin inscriptions. The inscription is like a signifier of some kind of like club or group from like that like he belonged to. So wait, so yeah, so okay, so
It could have been a gift from Miles to Sam as
We have
like a
established that
payment in
Miles,
full.
Oh.
yeah, that Miles like apparently gave lots of money to his employees, and so
yeah.
Mhm.
that's a
Maybe
possibility.
Oh,
it was
so-
a mistake on the engraver's part. It was supposed to say something else, but you know all those videos and pictures of people when they're putting things on cakes and they accidentally put like the receipt number or things like that.
That's a huge mistake to make on a big emerald ring.
Huge mistake. I actually just think that the payment in full meaning, if we're taking it with like the connecting it to the paint the scene thing, yeah, that could just mean that like it was a gift from Miles to Sam of just like, because like Miles was famously handing out money to like people all the time, but like Sam was someone he genuinely respected because Sam was really good at managing the bel canto, and like in Miles's eyes, Sam did a lot that he owed him for. It was just like, I was like, honestly, you've done a great job with the bel canto. Like, I wanted to, gave him this like ring and maybe even gave him some like promotions and just really rewarded him and gave him this ring to be like, the meaning behind it is like, for basically like all that you have done for the bel canto,
Mhm.
myself and my family, you are recognized for that. So
and
payment in
it
full.
tracks with Miles's what we know about Miles, right?
Mhm.
Like it tracks pretty closely. I think it's a great way of explaining that one away. So
Yeah, I think so. I
Mm-hmm.
like that a lot.
So that leaves you with just 8 clues to contend with.
What
Why do we
if the
go ahead.
card that was in Sam's business card holder was a card that he had designed that he was going to pitch to the Holly stamp card
Holly stamp.
company?
Why do we think Teresa Horn had bruising around her wrist? Is that one we can explain away too, or is that contributing to Nathan's murder?
Nathan was on his tirade afterwards. He got into an argument with his mom.
Mhm.
He's trying to calm him down, and
Yeah.
oh,
Got into a little bit of a fight.
oh, I think I just clacked. What if Teresa accidentally killed her own son?
Oh,
And so in a way to kind of like take it off of her as like this accidental death, and she's trying to shunt it onto somebody else like Ches by murdering Sam. As like a way of being like, because she probably knew that Sam and Ches were making a business deal or something like that. And so she's like, this is
Yeah.
her being a distraught mother, she's like I can't believe I killed my son, but also I can't go to jail.
The people of the
wait.
Bel Canto need somebody to run the place. That's their
Hold on.
job.
And hold on,
Yeah.
I just had a galaxy brain thought because I love your idea, Wes, and I want to like, I want to add a layer to it.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
I don't think that Teresa actually accidentally killed Nathan. I think she thinks she did, but but there is actually someone behind the scenes who orchestrated this and like, you know, she, like, I think like, because he was found like clobbered in the back of the head, dead on the main stage. To me, I think what that might involve is something falling from like the catwalk and like hitting him on the head. Now, I think maybe in their scuffle, that was how he tied the bruises in, like that, you know, he was on a drunken tirade, like, you know, and he was like, you know, essentially beating on his mom, like throwing like arms around, and she had like, you know, throw up her hands, and she was taking like some like, you know, stray hits from Nathan. I think like at one point though, because he was just so like raving, she like pushed him hard. He hit like one of like the beams of like the support structure, and then something from the catwalk fell, clobbered him on the head. In a grief-stricken panic, she like grabbed his Santa hat, like that was, you know, had his blood on it.
That's why she grabbed the Santa hat. Yeah.
That's why she grabbed the Santa hat. And but what she thought, like, oh my god, a freak accident, but like, you know, I just killed my own son. But actually, there is somebody who was up there or had loosened something or something like that. I think maybe. So I feel like there is a murderer behind this. Because I also don't like the idea of like, oh, poor Teresa, like that was an accident. But I'm like, no, I think someone's manipulating the situation even more.
Yeah,
I don't know. I kind of think that Teresa might have still killed Sam.
I don't think Teresa killed Sam. I think someone else killed Sam, but like I think the same person that put the blame on Ches, because I don't think Teresa in her haze.
There's someone we've barely talking to that I think has a great motive possibly for killing Nathan. No, Rosella Swindon.
Rosella Swindon?
She's the board president.
Well, sure.
Like, and maybe that there was some, because like Sam was the director, so she's technically above Sam, right? So like,
yeah, I mean, she was probably really close to Miles, right? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
So like, maybe there's, I don't know, maybe that's, we have barely interacted with Rosella Swindon. I don't even think we've talked to her, period. But I'm also just like, well,
I think she just said something smug and then walked off. That's the only thing we've heard of her.
She's played by an A-lister. That's how we know she's the killer.
I really like this idea. Yeah, I really like this idea of. I really kind of like the idea of Teresa thinking she killed Nathan and trying to like cover it up by like that's why she grabbed the Santa hat, because she just maybe in her like maybe like
grief.
In her grief or her attempt to like try to hide some kind of evidence or something, she like just took the Santa hat, you know, because it had blood on it or something. I don't know. She wasn't thinking straight. But like that to me feels like an interesting angle. And it's equally interesting if she intentionally killed him as well, but that in both cases the situation is being manipulated by someone else. I think that's an intriguing idea.
Maybe it is Alexandra.
I don't know who that other person is. Yeah.
You know,
could be Alexandra.
Yeah, like I'm thinking Alexandra because she would have access to Chez's phone.
She might have been the one cut out of the will.
Yeah,
because she's a granddaughter. She's not exactly like a direct descendant to like she's a direct descendant, but there's like a level between that.
Well, so here's the thing.
Of children.
Yeah.
Well, so the letter said a change in the will. Now here's the thing: being a lawyer who knows how this works, if Miles died intestate, meaning like there was a problem with the will or he didn't make a will or something, all of his stuff would flow equally to Winston and Teresa, right? And so that would ensure that eventually Alexandra would get her cut, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so it could be that like he had decided to cut Winston and Teresa out or give it all to Teresa or something. And so Alexandra needed for there to be like a, needed for something to happen before he could like make the change or before he could like affect the change in the will, you know, so that like
I'm once more inspired by Knives Out and the whole thing about the Slayer rule, where it's like if it looks like that Teresa was accidentally,
that is a real thing, by the way. That's
it is. My legal knowledge is only from mystery media,
murder mystery media.
I know so much about law after watching like, you know, like Poker Face and all that, but I think that, so maybe that's the angle in there too that we can look at with that will, because if we're going like, if it looks like Teresa was even accidentally responsible for Nathan's death, that immediately, like, that must be the desired outcome, because if it was like, oh, if Nathan dies, the money goes to these people. Well, no, if it looks like Teresa killed him even accidentally, that's a whole legal mess. So clearly the killer would want that that mess of complicating it for Teresa, at least.
Mhm.
Which is why I'm wondering if it's Alexandra. Oh, go ahead, Wes.
Let's dive back into Knives Out as well, because I can't remember Michael Shannon's son, when the whole reason he got cut out of the will was because his father wanted him to make
Nazi.
something of his own.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the Nazi. Yeah. Or but also like Michael Shannon was cut out of the will because his father wanted him to make something of his own.
Yeah, I wanted to be his own person. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Miles is probably, he's a patron of the arts and everything like that. He's probably an old fogey as well, so he probably doesn't understand like influencer culture, TikTok, Instagram stuff of having success off of that. So knowing that Alexandra would get money when he died, it wouldn't push her to do something more artistic or anything like that. It would just keep her in that same place. So exactly. Yes, chaotic. It sounds like Winston was cut out of the will, and by extension Alexandra, of being like a whole thing. So that would probably lead into bringing in the Slayer rule and everything like that if Teresa was found not in sound mind and body and committing crimes and things of that
It would
nature.
have to go to the
It would
other-
have to go to Winston and Alexandra.
Oh, that's intriguing.
That's the angle.
That is an interesting angle. The idea is to make it look like Teresa basically voided her share of the inheritance by committing murder, and therefore that would be ruled, he would be ruled intestate, and therefore it would all have to go to Winston.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
I actually just have to say real quick, like all the other mysteries we've played so far, the John Malkovich stuff was really funny and very interesting. I think this is the first time we've actually had like a murder theory forming that's like, this is actually a complex and really like well woven like murder attempt of like for like the reasons of like snipping the branches of the family tree.
Yeah,
and like this kind of, like, layered approach to it. Like Alexandra's a kind of a dangerous suspect if it is her, because man, she's actually probably one of our smartest killers yet.
So then it kind of, so like if we're all kind of like into this, I think it kind of would be a situation where basically like making it look like Nathan was killed makes it look like murder happened. Therefore, Miles might have also been murdered, you know? And now it becomes a matter of like, well, who did it? And so if we can convince the authorities that Teresa did it, then the law of intestacy kicks in because of the Slayer rule, and Winston, and ergo Alexandra gets everything. It's really ingenious.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
I just have an idea of how to connect the Ches moment with Ches and Alexandra moment. I think like the idea of like, if Alexandra's like wanted Nathan to make a scene about it, because I think maybe she riled him up about that. Like, and I think the way that we know that is when Muriel was like observing the intimate moment where they were kind of making out backstage. She mentioned it was an off comment that is not incriminating by itself, but like she mentioned something about how like maybe like last other previous family parties or something like that, like Nathan is so easy to get riled up, like once he has some like drink in him, you like mention something to him in passing, and he'll like rant and rave about it if it gets stuck in his mind. And the idea being that like Alexander just in passing that night he went on a drunken tirade may have just like made some kind of simple quip or comment about that inspired the possibility of he clearly loved us. Maybe he was murdered, because she knew he'd go on a drunken tirade and loudly declare that. So that way people, and if he showed up dead, then people would be like, well, he was yelling about him being murdered. So clearly maybe we should look into Miles being murdered. So like she like wove like
the idea is to make it seem like Miles was killed, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess like for this to hold up, we have to establish that the will change was to make Teresa the sole heir, right? Which is what would have put all this in motion. And so that one is accounted for. The dirty Santa hat is Teresa panicking, essentially. The bruising is interesting because it kind of, for this to work, for this theory to work, the killer, if we're saying it was Alexandra or whoever organized, or possibly Alexandra and Ches who organized this or orchestrated this, they would have had to have put the bruises on Teresa's wrist or somehow caused that to happen in order to yeah.
Oh, I think it just rile up Nathan and then get Teresa in a
To like
situation where he
interject.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, like,
If
She's the
Nathan has
boss,
a
she's done
history
it
of this,
before.
then Teresa, has
Yeah.
a history of
He's-
like being the one that can calm him down,
Yeah.
and she probably is known for having
Oh,
just
so
like bruises for, like,
okay. So we're saying that like this is evidence of like the stormy relationship between
Yeah.
Nathan and his mom. Okay,
Mhm.
Yeah, and that
that's
like
good.
he's a violent drunk, not like violent as in
Yeah.
like when he's not like swinging actual fists over here,
Right.
but he's like he gets like in people's face and like shoves, and Teresa's like very used to having like, you know, put her arms up, like just be like, hey, stop, and like you have to, like, you know, block his like arms like to get him to like stop flailing around to calm down.
without
also-
understanding a nuance, it makes it seem like they had a very rocky,
Violent,
stormy
yeah.
relationship, but it's actually, with knowing context, it's actually quite the opposite, that Teresa's the only person that can calm down her son. It's just that there's leftover damage from that.
So we're going to hook Ches into this too. That means that the intimate moment with Alexandra is a really good one. That's probably the key clue, to be honest. And then the contract as well. Maybe Teresa, like a thing that Ches was trying to work out with the Belcanto. Teresa was like, no, it's not going to happen anymore. You know? And so that's how he got, like, he and Alexandra hooked up essentially to kind of take care of this problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like Chaotic and Amanda, do you have anything to add or say? I feel like we're just like, I don't want to feel like we're steamrolling here.
Like
Yeah.
because like in addition, like I think Alexandra is trying to just get Ches in her corner alone, because Ches, despite everything pointing to otherwise, still loves Celia, like genuinely loves her, and like he like
Oh, do we think Alexandra sent the messages?
yes, I think so.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
What
I-
context can we add to make that clue solid?
I think it like I think with like Ches, I think he cheated on like Cecilia with Alexandra, and he's, I think, with like the hookup and all, I think he was actually going to try to break up with her. But
she was just all over him.
yeah,
He was, oh, that's really cool.
Oh,
so like I think by doing it in a public place, like again, it's just trying to rile up Cecilia, so she'll be like, okay, I'm done with Ches.
it could be
breaking
as
up."
simple as she just had access to his phone too.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
Like
just-
she
I
just had
think-
access to his
And maybe we
phone.
know it's her because it's a simple giveaway. Alexandra just types in all lowercase. Like,
Yeah, or she misspelled
Just
his name.
young. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
misspelled his name because like it's misspelled in the character keeper. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
because his name is CHES,
yeah.
but maybe it was CHEZ. Like, you know,
Mhm.
that, like, although I guess it wouldn't be like that in the phone like address book necessarily, but
I think it might just be like as easy as
she's
like,
had
just,
access to it.
yeah,
Yeah,
access to it, and also it's just like they type kind of differently.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You
good.
know,
Yeah. Like it's all lowercase and
then-
no punctuation.
And then if we were to look at Chez's phone, we don't see that message because you can delete your side of the conversation on text messages.
Yeah.
So like Alexandra sent
Mhm.
it, deleted her side.
Yeah,
Because I mean, like if Celia went to Chez and be like, "What the hell was that about?" Like storm in front of him, he would just be like, "What are you talking about?" It's like there's nothing. She would just see that as him gaslighting her.
Mhm.
Further.
But
yeah.
so the intimate moment backstage, because I think that's a great idea of was like he was actually in the process of trying to like tell her like it's done, I'm cutting it off, I am actually doing this. Muriel just missaw it, thought it was mutual, and she was all over him. And so Chez was actually trying to break things off because he just genuinely does like Celia, even if he is opportunistic, there is some good in his heart.
And I
I'm-
think we
I'm
know
loving
that's
this,
true
yeah.
because Ches is the one who tore the contract between Ches and the Belcanto
Oh.
up. Originally,
Yep.
he and Alexandra were going to try to get in and start, running this business together. But when he saw Celia and the magic of Hallmark Christmas movies,
Oh, that's
he
good.
really does
He's
want to
like
do this reindeer farm.
Yeah.
Tore it up.
I actually think Sam was okay with that because like that's why he was killed, because like I think maybe like Alexandra was really in on it, but Ches and like, there was this whole conversation and Ches had a moment with Sam where he's just like, actually, I don't think this idea is going to work out. And they talked it out for like a while. And Sam was like, no, that's reasonable. I understand that. Well, I'm sorry that the business where he's like, oh, it's all right. And like, Ches being kind of like over dramatic, which, he was just like, well, symbolic, I'm just going to rip up our contract in front of it. And Sam was like, all right, cool. They could have given my office a phone call, but I'll take that as binding. But like Alexandra was like, no. So it's like, if I, so like, there was that's why Sam was killed, is because like Sam was okay with
it.
Sam was like, I'm okay with this contract being annulled. Like we our business plans, I get it.
And Alexandra once again gets shunted out of another business deal. Yeah. Which might have been the menacing card to Sam, because we already know you're going to find coal in your stocking. Then through the years we will all be together if the fates allow. That was sent to Sam from Alexandra as like a threatening thing or whatever. I guess probably like a way to be like I know, and Alexandra just watched too many movies.
Killing Sam also makes sense in the context of it was brief. You might have missed it last time, but Teresa made us a comment last week about how her and Winston were always cut out of like the running of the Bel Canto, and that means because apparently Sam was always given over to Sam, and Winston and Teresa were always cut out of it. So it's established that Teresa might have viewed Sam as like like with some kind of anger or whatever. So killing Sam even fits into the like framing Teresa mode.
So does the shattered locket fits into framing Teresa. I think Alexandra took it, smashed it, and was going to hide it on Teresa's person in order to make it look even more like Miles.
Like she killed Miles. Yeah, that's great. Perfect.
I think the checkbook with the missing checks out of sequence, I think that's either something Nathan did or Alexandra further showing off like planned aspects. So what do we think that does?
I think
Alexandra was sneaking checks out of his book.
Taking checks out of his book, taking them out of sequence so that he wouldn't notice. Yeah, and forging his name. Yeah.
What's some context we can add to hook that clue in, because we don't have any evidence of that otherwise?
Yeah. Maybe it's her.
Books have the carbon copy.
Yeah.
When you look closely at the carbon copy, it's her handwriting clearly. Nathan never noticed because he's not a good finance bro.
Yeah, I also I was also thinking that there's also a really incriminating element here. That's not a clue, but it makes sense for the Alexandra. If you go on her TikTok, Instagram, whatever she has, like she did some like reels videos on like she had her like calligraphy influencer phase where she was like doing like the cool
that's good
stuff. Like if you look at the video, it's like, wait a second, that's she's like, here's how to sign signing your checks really like like with beautiful like calligraphy.
Make them look
calligraphy.
Write up a bank teller's day by signing your checks, just like this.
Yeah. But if you look at it, it's like, wait a second, that's from Nathan's checkbook.
And the reason she was like stealing money to do all of this stuff is to finance her TikTok stardom, because we already established that her grandfather wanted her to make something of herself and not rely on his money for everything. So she needed money from somewhere.
This is a great theory. So just to recap, I'm not going to go through each clue, but the basic, but it all more or less checks out. The idea is that Miles died of natural causes, but Miles also changed the will right before he died so that Teresa gets everything, which cuts out Winston, who apparently doesn't care as much as his daughter, and Alexandra, importantly Alexandra. Alexandra then essentially started to orchestrate a sort of Slayer rule thing against Teresa by essentially killing Nathan, framing Teresa for it, or making it look like Teresa might have done it, which would then cast suspicion on Miles's death, which is the real key death for Alexandra's purposes. And so the hope was that Teresa would ultimately get fingered for all this, and then according to the rules of intestacy, which would kick in because of the Slayer rule, Winston and therefore Alexandra would get paid. We know that we've decided that Ches was an unwitting accomplice in this.
I
Yeah.
think
He
yeah, she
wants
was.
to open the reindeer farm.
He does.
Right,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I think the idea is basically just like, yeah, Ches is a business guy, was kind of entangled with Alexandra, wanted to get out of it, had some contracts that were going to be beneficial, but ultimately decided no, I am in love with Celia. I
I'm in
will
love with
tear up my
Celia,
business deal.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Alexandra had been like, Sam, aren't you going to challenge that? And Sam's like, nah, I'm sure that I want him to follow his heart.
It was
And
just
she's like,
one more
well,
complication for Alexandra, right?
gotta kill Sam too.
Yeah, because Ches was going to be her backup, basically.
Oh.
You know.
Ches confided in Sam.
Mhm.
That's like, oh, this is what's been going on. I'm going to
Oh
break
yeah,
up with
maybe he told her.
Alexandra.
Or yeah, he told Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Alexander's like, well, fuck that. And yeah. So that's great.
And
Okay.
Sam was the one that was like, you know what I always like to watch during the holidays? Those
Hallmark
cheesy
Christmas
Hallmark Christmas
Yeah,
movies that
He's
they
a
always.
romantic.
Yeah. Oh, pour one out for Sam. Pour some
one for
eggnog out
Sam.
for Sam.
You have a really terrific die roll here as a +4. Whoever wants to take it, go for it.
I'll take it.
Go for
Yeah.
it.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
This
Do
is your
it.
grandniece.
This is my grandniece. Okay, so I got a +4.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
I'm so glad because I got a 6
Total?
+4.
Okay.
10.
I was like, you rolled snake eyes? Like, what are we doing here?
No.
A 10. Very good. Okay, so let's read the move. On Theorize, on a 10+, it's the correct solution. I will present an opportunity to take down the culprit or otherwise save the day. On a 12+, I'll reveal a conspirator from the Dark Conspiracy, if you really want to.
We want to.
I want
This is
to.
me talking to
Requires
somebody
mask
that
from
has,
everyone, or requires
Yeah.
crown from everyone.
This is coming from a person that has. I've got a decent amount of crowns,
amount.
but I know that also our dear friend Chaotic here has been marking crowns. So
Well, I do have 7 crowns left, so like.
Oh,
before
okay.
that-
Oh, that's a
so-
good number. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if we do a sweepsweek, you won't even like dip into them.
Yeah.
already, so.
I'd
do
be
it.
fine with marking a crown. I mean, clearly the midwives have summoned a monster here, so there's something interesting going on. Yeah. All right, I'm fine with that.
That's it. I'll mark one.
Okay.
Okay, so that puts us at 12+. A person involved in the Dark Conspiracy of Brindlewood Bay also reveals themselves to the Mavens. And let's first of all just handle the accusation and arrest of Alexandra. We'll just do it round robin style. Everyone describe a little bit of the scene, and then I'll kick in with the midwives part. So whoever wants to kick it off, go for it.
I
Make
think
it
we're able
make
to
it
track
Christmassy.
down where Alexandra is because she is currently live.
Yeah, we always know where she's at. She's live
Yeah.
streaming wherever she's at. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is where?
I think in this case she has left the area because she got to stay away and let the plan come together on its own now. But she's probably going to be close enough. So I think she's just down the road at the ice sculpture exhibit.
Love it. A nice wintry backdrop.
I think what Muriel's contribution here, much to the detriment of Alice's health, is going to be, I think she is going to arrange for Ches and Celia to also be by these ice sculptures, so Alexandra can see them on like kind of a reconciliation date around the Christmassy kind of area, and triggers possibly some jealous rage. Who knows?
with Alexandra being kind of in that seeing red moment of seeing one meal ticket getting back together with his former flame, her brain starts acting out in overtime. She starts thinking of all the angles of what she could do. What could she do here? Ice sculptures melt all the time. Accidents happen all the time. It's the perfect murder weapon. The ice melts. And so she starts making her way over to push like a sculpture over of like a nutcracker over on top of Ches. And there's just a click of a photo and you just see from behind a snowman, just Alice just being like, "I wouldn't do that if I was you, darling."
I love it. Is there anything else, or is that enough?
Take us home,
that's-
Rosemary.
Is that enough?
I think that's enough. Like,
Oh no, okay.
I
yeah.
want Rosemary to do a citizen's arrest.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we we have established that we want to elect Rosemary as the new sheriff. Let's have citizens.
Okay, I'll be the. I think as like this is, I think I pop out like around like a corner of like behind some other sculptures and whatnot, and like I give like this nod to Alice, and I say, Alexandra, you know what you've done, and you can't keep this up. Just turn yourself in. And I'm just gonna go over to her, and I'm gonna put my hand on her shoulder, and I'm gonna take her away.
I love it. Let's fast forward a little bit to later in the week. The Christmas gala is somehow a massive success, and everything goes off well. Everybody who came into town is packing up their stuff at the Rest Your Head. And Alice, you are having a little tea and scone with Celia. And she says, "Aunt Alice, I just want to thank you again for you and the Murder Mavens' help with all this stuff that happened this week. This has been just like, I thought it's been a roller coaster of emotions. I know you are not completely enthusiastic about me getting back together with Ches, but I really do think he's reformed himself, and, well, maybe I wasn't so perfect either. And so everything is, well, I have some really good news."
You see Alice's eye twitch in the corner of like when she hears her great niece say, "Maybe I haven't been so perfect too." Just being like, "Go on."
I have some great news. Ches, he does investments and stuff, right? And he backs businesses and things. He's actually an investor in this really interesting chain of wellness centers called the Ninth Step. Have you heard of it?
I'm gonna tell you one thing, Celia. There are good business deals in this world, and there are bad business deals in this world.
And this is a great one. And here's what he's going to do. He knows he's a really, really close confidant of the woman who owns the Ninth Step. Her name's Corinne Waitley. And Corinne has given me a job as the executive director of marketing of the Ninth Step. Can you believe it? And we'll cut there.
We backed the wrong horse. We backed the wrong horse.
And so let's take a 10-minute break so that I can prepare the next mystery, and then we'll come back and start it. We are back. It is going to be Cozy Vignette time. Don't forget your creepy background stuff for Cozy Vignettes if you have Shadow in the Garden marked. And your Cozy Vignette should be a road trip. The Mavens are driving across country together on a road trip, which we'll talk about the destination to where when we start. And it is a fair amount of time's passed. It's actually the summer. So there have been a few months have gone by without any murders. And so peace settled across the land for a time. Let's see, what else should you know as you get ready for Cozy Vignettes? Yeah, I think that's it. So think about your Cozy Vignette, and whoever wants to go first, take it away.
It's Doll's turn to be in the passenger seat. So she gets to decide what to listen to. And of course, it's the police scanner because we're on a road trip, which means you get to hear the scans from all the other different towns and such nearby. It's very exciting. So I think every time something really exciting starts to happen, she turns the volume way up and starts, excitedly smacking whoever is sitting next to her, the driver. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? This is so shocking. Oh my goodness. I can't believe this is going on. You think Brindlewood Bay is bad, but there's no car chases or well, I mean there's murders, but not like this. Shocked. Just shocked.
I think the did you hear that? Did you hear that is hitting Alice as Alice is driving. It's Alice's turn to drive and goes, there was that one boat chase one time. And as we see Alice is driving along, we get a montage of just like stretch of roads and everything. And almost like a la the first season of The Leftovers, where you see members of the Guilty Remnant just standing all over the place. I think sometimes, like, especially like getting late into her driving tenure, Alice like has to rub her eyes and blink because she starts seeing people with shaved heads standing in very pallid robes, just standing outside of different businesses or road stops or rest areas.
It's the story.
I was about to say. When it's Muriel's time to drive, those scenes are at night. And when the other Mavens are taking a snooze because despite being here for well over 10 years, sometimes Muriel forgets that it's the right side of the road, not the left. And occasionally swerves into the left, merges into the left, and it's better for the other Maven's heart health. But she actually gets this the night we focus on is she actually kind of it's a rest stop moment of it pulls into like a local roadhouse, like with the line of biker the motorbikes out front, and while the Mavens are using that as an excuse to go to the bathroom and like freshen up, Muriel's just going inside to get a drink. So it's just kind of her with the kind of like rock, the rock and jazz kind of different combo music going on in the roadhouse, and getting a drink, and she's at the bar kind of like just kind of like just knocking back a Guinness essentially, but like behind her on like the red curtain stage, kind of it's out of focus, it's just like the back this it's the band in the background, but like everyone in the bar in the roadhouse behind her who are out of focus, they all just like the music keeps playing, but they stop playing their instruments. People stop observing, and all heads just turn to look at Muriel in the background for a moment, just staring at her. And then when Muriel kind of like glances over her shoulder, just cuts back to the band playing. When she leaves, the music that's playing, the band is just like the lead singer is like pointing at Muriel with a wink and a smile, singing "I Got You, Babe."
I think like in terms of like what we've taken for our road trip, we've got plenty of snacks, we've had plenty of drinks, and we've actually brought a decent collection of like various books, most of them murder mysteries by Amanda Delacorte, of course. But a few books have slipped in, which Rosemary is reading some about various mythological things, sort of creepypasta, sort of esque things about local cryptids and sort of weird sightings. And like I think Rosemary is just during the lulls of when Doll is like driving rather being a passenger and it does not have control of the radio. I think Rosemary is just saying, "Oh, I wonder why they have not found any bodies of that yet." And like I would just like show the other Mavens like this really like just twisted creature with far too many limbs crawling and creeping.
I may add a creepy detail to my vignette because I forgot that I can do that. It is, again, it's Doll's turn to drive. It's late at night, and we can hear Rosemary muttering from the back seat about bodies and murders and whatnot. And as she's driving, she glances in the rearview mirror and sees a car tailgating right behind them. Their headlights are off, but there's a little bit of light from the car that illuminates some human-shaped thing in there. Suddenly, the car behind flashes their lights extremely bright. Doll, who is looking in the mirror, has the after effect, the after image in her eyes, and she swerves and hits the brakes. And everyone just goes, oof. And she gets out of the car, goes running behind to see if the other car was in trouble, and there's no sign of it. It didn't go into the ditch. It's not up or down the road. There's no one there.
Very good. Our mystery is a sweep mystery, which we're allowed to do now because you are in layer 4 of the Dark Conspiracy. A sweep mystery, for people who are watching the video and don't know, is a special mystery that takes place outside of the normal campaign story. So this is not about the Midwives of the Fragrant Void. Indeed, they will not be in play here. And it's a mystery that takes place outside of Brindlewood Bay, and it probably has a more supernatural bent and is not necessarily about a murder. So at a sort of story level, that's kind of what the deal is with the sweep mystery. It also has a slightly different structure, which we'll talk about as we play. But I'm going to go ahead and just introduce it. Our sweep mystery is called The Hex Files. And sweep mysteries are presented by just me reading some text. The Mavens are on a road trip to sunny California. Your destination? Who Dunnit Con, the biggest mystery book convention in the country. You see an overturned car in the ditch while on a lonely stretch of road in a part of New Mexico that looks suspiciously like Vancouver. Naturally, you stop to render assistance. Who has the highest sensitivity?
That would be Alice with
Alice. Since you have the highest sensitivity, Alice, what about the crash site suggests unnatural forces were involved?
There are no tire tracks leading from the road to the crash site.
Very good. The car has 2 occupants, neither of which survived the crash. A pair of unusually good-looking FBI agents based on the identification you find on their bodies. The car also contains a case file detailing a number of travelers who have gone missing over the past decade. In all cases, the traveler's last known location is the town of Devilwood, New Mexico, just a few miles up the road. Here's a question for everyone. You've each heard a different legend associated with the town of Devilwood, something dark and disturbing. What is it?
I've heard that there's this house in Devilwood where a family lived, and one day the entire family just disappeared. Food on the table in the kitchen, television still on in the living room. Nobody knows where they went or how they disappeared. They just were suddenly gone, the whole family.
I think just an hour or so before we or get near this like flipped over car, I think while Rosemary was reading her very creepy books, I think she came across an entry about Devilwood, about why it's called that. They have this tree and the center of this field, and if you go there at night, you can see from like the quote unquote desert landscape for some reason that there's these deer that suddenly appear and walk around this tree in a circular motion. They have no eyes.
Muriel remembers a story growing up back in Scotland, that during kind of like the turn of the century from the 19th into the 20th, when the Wild West was dying, Muriel kind of liked those frontier cowboy stories, made America seem so mythical. She had heard that there was like an oil baron in the deserts who, like, you know, had eccentric tastes, you know, like, and bought like a bunch of like different like weird things at one point. And she knows why it's called Devilwood, because it was famously the oil baron who kind of founded the town back then, or mining magnate, whatever it was, had a paid a sizable fortune to have some specific salvage reclaimed and used in construction. He paid a great deal of money to go reclaim some wood from some ships stranded in the polar ice caps that had wrecked there during the late 1800s or mid 1800s.
In Devilwood, the coyotes that roam around the town never seem to speak. They don't yip, they don't growl, they just stare. And they're not terrified of people.
Fun place. You're making good time on your trip to California. And so after reporting the car crash, you decide to go on ahead to Devilwood, FBI case file in hand. Everyone gets to add the FBI case file to their cozy little place. So go ahead and do that. And Sweep Sweep Mysteries operate off of a question and opportunity framework that the other CFB games use, meaning your theorize is replaced with another move called answer a question. And answer a question, it works basically the same way. You're going to collect clues as before, except you're going to be coming up with an answer to this question based off the clues you have. And if you successfully answer the question, it unlocks the opportunity that corresponds. Our question is a complexity 8, and it is what's been happening to the travelers who go missing in Devilwood, and who or what is responsible. If you answer the question successfully, you get to resolve the mystery by confronting the person or entity responsible for the missing travelers and putting a stop to their actions. You do not have access to the Crown of the Void in this mystery. You do, however, have access to a crown that is connected to this mystery called the Crown of the Woods. It has 3 different marks that can be chosen, so it can be picked up to 3 times, and it's only good for this mystery, so you might as well just use them as you're able to. And we'll talk about what they do whenever you choose one. But we pick up with the Mavens, FBI case file in hand, rolling into a dusty, empty town square. The only sign of life on the streets is a pair of dogs fighting over a bone. It's already getting to be sundown, so you're going to need to stop for the night anyway, although you still have a couple of hours of daylight left, or dim daylight. I'll give you the lay of the land really quick. There's not too much to see, but there is a diner, which seems to be maybe the only place of any activity in the town right now. There is a guest house where you can stay, the Devilwood Guest House. There are some woods, the eponymous woods of Devilwood, which are sort of kind of like, they kind of form a crescent around the town, so to speak. And you also see atop a hill in the middle of the woods what appears to be a sort of grand Spanish colonial manor or villa house up on a hill. And on your way in, you notice that there is a sawmill as well. But it doesn't look like it was an operation, but it was probably a big deal back in the day. Those are just a few of the places to be aware of. Maybe the first order of business is getting a room at the guest house. Maybe you need to get some dinner at the diner. You can do whatever you want to do at this point, but I'm going to turn the scene over to all of you.
Well, y'all, I think the first step is getting ourselves a room secured. Because as much as I want to get some victuals in me, I don't want to be sleeping in the car again.
Well, I personally didn't think I can stand to bite any more of this trail mix, so I think I'll just go ahead and walk over and get us a booth at this diner and maybe order some proper food.
Yeah, I'm half hungry. I think I'll go with Muriel.
Okay. Just I don't need anything fancy at the room. I just need a place to lay my head. I'm fine sleeping in the car though if we want to protect our baggage.
Well, we can bring our bags into the room.
Oh,
that,
that's what they
Muriel.
want you to do though.
Muriel McGregor, if I have to sleep in that car one more night, I'm going to get in a fist fight with you, and I'm
You
going to
will lose. Yeah,
I will lose, but I'm going to make you feel it in the morning. I tell you that much.
If they come for our things, then they're more likely to just kill us in our sleep.
All right, Rosemary. Yeah, let's go get a room, huh? A nice little cheery room at a guest house, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't kill us in our sleep.
Hopefully it will turn out to be like a scene in Psycho.
The Devilwood Guest House is a grand home that has been converted into a guest house. The walls of the lobby are covered in dark wood paneling, which the light from the single bulb barely illuminates. It's a dark, wood-paneled, dimly lit lobby. Let's paint the scene. What shocking scene is depicted in the carved paneling?
Well, of course, as local legend has it, and of course, town history, Devilwood is very proud of their history. There was the Great Gum Fire of 1908. There once was a small candy shop within Devilwood that was run by a local gentleman, Alexander Gum, and as is known for most good things in Devilwood, Alexander Gum was accused of stealing from the townspeople because promised to be delivering tasty treats and candy, but the townspeople didn't think that they were tasty or delicious enough. Multiple complaints were filed. Alexander Gum never changed his recipe for his candy. His candy was world renowned. He had moved here just because he wanted to get away from the big city life of Chicago. And of course he would deliver delicious treats to this town. Alexander Gum, not being very obstinate, was dealt with directly by the townspeople. In a landslide vote, all the townspeople voted that Alexander Gum should no longer be a part of this town, and they lit his candy store on fire and drove him out of town on a rail.
And the burning candy stores was depicted on the wood paneling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very proud moment. That's the only time in Devilwood history where they all voted like all together.
There's another historical carving because, of course, was just established. This town is very proud of its history. It is of a young man whose name is Phineas DeVille, and Phineas DeVille was well known for being the person who created Devil's Wood, which was DeVille's Wood then, but names change over time. And it's a picture of how he is rumored to have become so successful and wealthy coming from a lower class. He learned finance, he learned governance, he was the town mayor for 30 years straight, and the town prospered under him. Of course, everybody says that's because he did go out into the woods and meet with the devil, trading one thing for another. Nobody knows what the trade was, but it was afterwards that he was so successful. So there's a depiction of Phineas DeVille meeting a demon in the woods.
It's less of a depiction and more of a smell at first. It's like you can smell the fresh, like, fuck, I forgot the word what it's called, but stain, yeah, that on like wood stain, like you could still smell. And if you put your hand on the wood paneling, it's this sort of deep red wood, but if you take it away, the wood lightens up and it's almost like a birch in color, but then your hand is just a deep red.
I think there is a moment commemorated in the wood paneling. The so there was a moment in the town's history back in like, the early pioneer days of Devilwood, when all of the lumber workers, cutting down trees to help build things, they all fell under a great illness. Anyone who worked in wood cutting fell deathly ill. They developed rashes that were almost bark-like, coughing up thick, bloody sap. And the school children of Devilswood famously took up a bunch of saws and axes, went into the woods, and began to child labor cut some trees down. But the depictions are weird because it shows kids playing in the woods, holding hands, laughing, singing, and like rocking on those long band saws as if it was a seesaw. But the trees, like when the trunks rise up, when they get up to like where they branch off, the stylistic rendition is like screaming figures who are being cut apart by these children dancing in the woods, and it is regarded as this triumphant scene.
Alice and Rosemary, an older woman with a suspicious glower and wearing a faded house dress and with gnarled, calloused hands, comes out to greet you in the lobby. She's behind this little counter. She says, "My name's Millicent Osborne. I am the proprietor of the Devilwood Guest House, and I'm here to inquire about your intentions."
Well, Millicent, seeing as how you are the proprietor of this establishment and we are two proprieties, we wish to book your services.
You want a room?
Well, maybe two. There are four of us.
4 of you?
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yes. All right. She turns and she goes for the keys and the little like key, cubby thing, and you can see the puff of dust as she takes the keys out.
Mm-hmm.
And she sets them down. And she says, "I lock the door at 9 p.m. sharp every night, so don't be staying out late. I hope you're not going to be any trouble like the last lot."
The last lot.
Yes. Thems that come to Devilwood for vacation or passing through sometimes find themselves in a little bit of trouble.
Well, we're just four sweet little old ladies on a road trip, so I'm sure that we're not going to be in any trouble at all.
Yes, yes. Time will tell. Time will tell. Here's your room keys. We don't do breakfast. You can go to Elsie's Diner if you need morning repast.
Yeah, Millicent, before we go, and Elsie's Diner sounds just delicious. I love the decor around here. It's wonderful. It's very reminiscent of where I grew up. Well, Millicent, have you heard of any car accidents nearby?
Make the meddling move with presence.
That one I'm really good at. Gonna be using that Crown of the Woods real quick. That is a 5.
5. I was going to put you at disadvantage too because it shadows over your shoulder, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Oh, I can roll a disadvantage too. We can make this work.
See how horrible it really would be.
It's a 3.
A
It's a
3?
3. It's a 3.
The single light bulb in the lobby goes out.
Oh no, we're gonna die.
Bzz, bzz, plunging you into darkness. We'll come back to this moment in a bit. Rosemary. Or no, Doll. Doll and Muriel. A slightly more cheery environment at Elsie's Diner. The diner seems to be doing good business, actually, although the conversation stops as soon as you both walk in. The tabletops are chipped and the vinyl seat covers have split with age, but it is otherwise an operating, bustling business. Paint the scene, everyone. What item on the menu seems particularly unappetizing?
I'm gonna reach into the old vault of when I played this last. I think this was the first Sweeps Weeks I ever played with Alex.
First time you ever played Brindlewood Bay, I think.
First time I ever played Brindlewood Bay. Lamb fries.
There isn't. Oh, go ahead.
We'll talk about what lamb fries are later if you don't know.
There is an appetizer of the day, and today's is olives? ?
At least they're upfront with the question mark. Caveat emptor and all that.
They have a specialty in this diner that they're well known for, and that's their buffalo pigeon wings.
This is in New Mexico, right?
It is.
All right. It is their house famous yellow chili.
No. We're not eating the yellow chili. I think as you come in, there is this like moment of like everyone kind of stopping, because you're outsiders. But then a woman who appears to work there, she's got graying hair and has a stained apron and a pencil behind her ear. She breaks the tension by saying, welcome to Elsie's. I'm Elsie. Go ahead and just have a seat, ladies. Find a banquette over there in the corner if you'd like, and I'll be right over to get your order.
Shuffle on over to the booth, and while we're waiting for her to bring menus over, Muriel just kind of like is gonna open up the case file in front of her and just kind of like being like flip through it idly.
I'm gonna look around at the people.
Yeah. I think there are a few people kind of like, they kind of just go back to their breakfast or whatever. But then this man who is clearly local law enforcement based off his cowboy hat and khaki uniform, he gets up. He's probably like in his late 40s, early 50s, pretty good looking, very fit, very strategically tight in the chest, khaki cop shirt. And he kind of strides over and he says, "Good afternoon, ladies."
Oh, hello.
Seems like you've caused a bit of a stir here. We don't get many outsiders in Devilwood. I'm Sheriff Hanscom.
Oh,
Hanscom.
I'm Doll.
Yeah,
That's a name. That's a nice name. Sorry, Doll, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm Doll, and this is Muriel.
Hey, Muriel. Nice to meet you, Sheriff. What's why is I didn't realize that Devilwood is so far off the main road that you guys don't get passers through.
Not too often. No. It's one of the It's a very, very remote town in a very remote county in a remote part of the state.
Fair enough, I suppose. We're heading down to California, so we're not in town for a long period, just stopping for a bite to eat. Got tired of, nuts and raisins and candied little bits of coconut.
Funny you should come through here. I mean, the main road doesn't exactly pass by Devilwood. It'll take you through La Fresca and Deep Lake, but Devilwood, not as likely.
Oh no, yeah, and we're not we were not saying that it is we intentionally went out of our way on account of the fact that we are, well, I don't know if you noticed, Sheriff Hanscom, but we're old biddies and we do like to stop and look around, smell the pines, as it were.
Hunting for antiques, huh?
Oh, antiques and just, interesting sights.
What's that you got there on the table? Talking about the file.
Light reading. I close the file and like smack it on the table. So I was like, light reading. Just catching up on business work. Tuck it away back in my purse. It's impolite for me to do some reading at the table. Thank you for reminding me of my manners, Sheriff.
I want the day move to avoid arousing suspicion. What are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve?
I'm afraid that he is in on it and I'm going to be a marked target. Yeah.
Roll with composure.
Okay. 8.
8. He says, all right, yeah, I'll don't want to interrupt your lunch or anything. He kind of like puts his hat on. I think he was on his way out. He's like, just be careful around here. This is well, I've got a whole county to look after. We're a little understaffed, and I don't have a lot of time to go chasing after old biddies, as you said, who get themselves into trouble.
Oh, nothing to worry about with us. We never get to any trouble.
I imagine you don't. And then
Sheriff?
Yes?
This is a quaint little diner. It kind of reminds me of a place that I visited deep in Jerry's Nose. It's a little bit like old school. Kind of reminds me of home. Now, a small little diner like this kind of indicates that this is probably a smallish town. What's the population here?
I don't know the exact population, ma'am, but let's just say it is not many. I think you could probably fit every resident of Devilwood, if you tried, into the trailer of a 18-wheeler.
A lot of wheels.
Do they have big trucks like that in Jerry's Nose?
Oh, I was only visiting Jerry's Nose.
All right then, ma'am. And I'm not going to give you any further complication, but I kind of like that scene as it was.
I think when the sheriff leaves, Muriel looks at Dawn and says, is it just me, or did that fella smell like Big Red gum?
I thought that the same.
Big Red and Old Spice.
Oh.
It's my favorite combination of scents.
Really? Your favorite? Really? That's very specific.
Let's check in with Alice and Rosemary. The light goes out, Alice and Rosemary. And you hear Millicent. That damn light bulb. Seems I have to replace it every 3-4 years. And here we are, once again plunged into the dark because of a damn unreliable light bulb. I do apologize for this inconvenience that you are having to suffer presently, ladies. If you'll just wait right there, I shall presently take care of the matter of the lack of illumination. and you hear her shuffling into the back area. But then you realize there is another person in the dark lobby with you. You hear them.
Jason, I would like to put on a crown just to help this person's congestion, please.
Do you want to put on one of the common ones, the woods?
Yeah, give me a crown of the woods, please.
You get to pick of your little options there.
Each Maven narrates a flashback to when they acted on instinct rather than reason. I think that's very fitting.
All right, everyone has to do that. Your roll is bumped up to a 7 to 9, and the light comes back on. Bzz, 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 bzz. And there's no one in the lobby. I am going to give you a condition, though. How do you feel?
Like a fish out of water,
You can
out of my element.
Yeah, you can editorialize it however you want, but you have a condition there. And Millicent comes back and she says, well, there you go. Every time that light bulb goes out, there's always a chance that it'll come back, testing me, teasing me, trying to make me expend all my precious energy, trying to find another light bulb. This is a battle for the future, ladies. Here are your keys.
I think Alice, not realizing that she was gripping Rosemary's like arm tightly, just goes, thank you, and then let's go, and then grabs the key.
I think I owe you a clue as well, because you got that was a meddling move, right?
Yeah, meddling move. Yep.
Yeah. Let me give you a clue as well. The keys have a funny marking on the metal. They have a little like rat face engraved on them. That's your clue.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, back at the diner with Muriel and Doll, what do you order?
Coffee, black as engine oil, first of all.
Elsie says, that's how I like to make it.
It's the only way you can drink it.
Fish and chips with gravy on the side for dipping.
She's like, hon, where do you think you're at? This is New Mexico.
It's not on the menu, Doll.
I don't think you want any of the fish that come out of Deep Lake. Just a word of warning.
Well, I suppose then I'll just have fries and gravy.
Fries and gravy? Who ever heard of a repulsive combination like that?
Pardon my friend's taste. She's from Canada.
Half the crew are like,
yeah.
Let's do.
And he was like, I'll order just, the turkey club sounds delicious.
Right. Gobble, gobble.
Okay.
And Rosemary and Alice, you can join. What do you order?
Well, being a denizen of bluegrass country in Appalachia, Alice immediately sees the lamb fries on the menu and says, damn, lamb fries? I ain't had lamb fries since my grandmammy made them for me. Give me a plate of your lamb fries, please.
One order of bleaten meat. Got it. And what about you, ma'am?
I'll have the olives, ?
I really don't recommend it. But
I'm just so.
It's your gastrointestinal tract, so
If it'll kill me, it will kill me. I'm fine with this.
There are definitely better ways to die, but okay. Olives and just olives? Would you like anything else to go with those olives?
Like, come back to me on that one. I'm still looking at the menu.
Great, great. All right. Have you ladies ever ordered food at a restaurant
I was
before?
about to say, like, am I the only one here eating, like, actually, like, a sane person? I got a sandwich. You got fries and gravy. You got olives, and you got testicles.
I'll have you know that that is a delicacy dating way back beyond before you and I were alive, okay, Muriel? I don't question you when you start trying to smear haggis all over your plate, okay?
Questioning it, but, like, it's not the main course. You got to order food, ladies. Okay, hold on. I look at the
I'm going to
server.
give you ladies a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And she goes back to behind the counter. Well, you're here. Food aside.
I'll be honest, I panicked a little bit when I saw the menu. I don't know half of these items.
It's a. I mean, I know that I'm the new one to this country comparatively, the most distantly removed, at least. Well, I mean, Dole here, but like, this is still a pretty standard menu. I mean, there's some weird things on here to be sure, but I mean, there's breakfasts, eggs, and there's something called yellow chili, which does not sound appealing at all. But I mean, I think I heard that New Mexico specializes in some kind of chili, so maybe it's good. Who knows?
There's
Well-
a man staring at you from outside from the window.
Ah!
He
Why did you know
is.
that, man?
Let's talk about this man. He's wearing a tattered raincoat, and he's slightly translucent. You can see through him to your car parked over at the guest house. I would like for everyone to make the day move to keep your composure. What are you each afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve right now?
I'm worried he's gonna like phase through the window and get us.
I'm afraid that we're just gonna make a scene about like all this like screaming and terror.
Muriel doesn't react well to being scared by strange men from the other side of windows, and she has a habit of defenestrating herself sometimes. I'm worried she's going to be like, ah, and like jump through the window to tackle this guy, like, and just lean into violence.
Alice, on the other hand, is scared of not being able to do anything if he is a danger of being scared stiff.
So many fun options. I don't know if I need a roll from everyone.
Mm.
Maybe just one person here. Let's go with Doll. Doll, you notice him first. What do you do? Or how do you, or roll with composure? No, sensitivity.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Maybe I should use my hand grenade. No, I'll just.
Gold crown, gold crown, gold crown.
This
Go.
actually, that's a good point. This does remind me of something that happened in an Amanda Delacour mystery.
Do tell.
The book was called
Diner dashed.
There we go.
I was gonna say diners, drive-ins, and die.
Oh, ooh.
Oh.
Okay, wait. Ooh, so okay, either diners, drive-ins, and die, or diner slash. I'm fine with either one of
Oh,
those.
okay. It's diners, drive-ins, and die part 2. Diner slash.
It's not, it wasn't a popular one, but I mean,
No.
yeah, it was more of a novella.
It was
Yeah.
the 90s era.
Yeah.
Of Delacour.
Yeah. They really were scraping the bottom of the barrel on those ones, but yeah, they had some good moments.
How is this similar to what happened to Amanda Delacour? Surely she didn't also see a ghost staring through the window or a translucent man.
Do you want me to? Because I have an idea.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I think like like one of the reasons it wasn't popular because in part one they set up like a ton of like supernatural stuff in it, and part two none of it was supernatural, and like the quote unquote ghost was just like a sticky thing put on the window.
All projectors, smoke, mirrors, and
Mhm.
decorations. Yeah, it was really badly written. It was really badly written. They did a lot of setup that they just nullified. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the murderer ended up just being a window decal. It was weird.
um, okay, interesting. So you just are keeping it under control because like this could just be a trick of the light or something. I like it. Go ahead and roll with, or you get 12 plus, or you can declare something true.
I would like to declare something true.
What?
There are a group of people here in Devil's Wood that have translucent skin for some reason or another.
Oh, interesting.
Nobody knows why.
You'll notice it maybe like in the booth next to you, a woman whose hand you can see the bone underneath her bizarre skin. I don't need to roll any. Well, I don't know. This is weird.
Like I feel like this is conditioned territory at the very
Yeah,
least.
yeah, we're
At the
conditioned
very least.
territory. Yeah. Well, okay. Here's what we'll do. I'm going to give you a condition. I'm not going to make you roll, doll, but I am going to give you condition because I think only you see it.
Okay.
To start. The condition is going to be the see-through people.
That's really good.
And this man just kind of walks off. How are
That's
you
when I
reacting
let out
right
a
now,
little
doll?
shriek.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
I'm not going to roleplay a shriek, though.
Fair
I
enough.
live in an apartment.
And I think at this point, we probably have some crowns that need to be narrated. So I think we'll just kind of end with this weird revelation about the town and go straight into crowns. Whoever wants to go first, take it away, or we can take a quick break if you need to think about it.
I wouldn't mind like a quick 3-minute
Take
break.
a 3-minute break. All right.
Mhm.
All right. Everybody has to do the Crown of the Woods, but some of you might have other crowns to do as well. So whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I can go. I'm going to do the Crown of the Woods. I also have to do a Crown of the Queen, so I'm just going to merge them together into one longer crown. We see Doll. She's a few years younger. This is prior to before moving to Brindlewood Bay. She is sitting at a little table in a small house in Dildo, and she is handwriting a letter. We hear the monologue as she's writing it. Dearest pen pal, I find myself lonely up here with my children gone and my husband gone. You're really the person that I talk to the most now, and you're so far away. But because we've been pen pals for going on 40 years now, I do feel very close to you. And the letter goes on. We see a little while later, she's opening up a new letter from a response from her pen pal. And it says, Doll, why don't you move down here to Brindlewood Bay? It is a nice little town, and your son does work nearby. It would be nice to be able to see you all the time. Doll holds this for a moment and folds it up, walks over to a closet, pulls out a cardboard box, and starts packing up. Decision made on the spot. Without a lot of thought, but with a lot of heart. Now we flash forward. The Mavens have just solved the murder, sort of Miles Greaves and Nathan. It's Christmas, and Doll is walking down the street. It's dark in Brindlewood Bay. It's snowing a little bit. The big fluffy snow that like looks really pretty in the streetlights. and the snow is crunching underneath her boots as she walks. She's holding in her hands a small box wrapped in Christmas paper. She steps up to a house and knocks on the door. The person who opens is June Willoughby. And Doll laughs and says, "Hey, pen pal. Merry Christmas." June laughs back and says, "Well, what do you have there?" Doll opens up the box, and in it is a little sprig of mistletoe. And she holds it up. She's shorter than June, so she can't hold it up very high. So June has to take it from her hand to put it above their heads. And then they kiss there in the snow, in the dark, before June invites her inside for the night.
Thank you.
I think we have a flashback to Rosemary when she was pretty young, like just still working at the Nowhere Lounge, and she got called in because like there's a like it's like uh close to like closing hours, and like the boyfriend is very angry like about something, like oh, like my girlfriend won't come out the bathroom, like there's something going on, and like so Rosemary gets called into there, and like it's just like a like between like the sobs of like this young other woman about like how her boyfriend cheated on me, and it's just this like very tragic scene of like I can't go home, and like I can't go with him, and it's just like Rosemary's like, all right, well, I'll get him out of there. And like when she comes out of the bathroom, she's like looking up the like this young man, and like she gives him like this stern look, looks to the wall at the cricket bats that says Andrew on it, and she takes the cricket bat out off the wall and starts to like whack this dude with it and like get him out of here, dude, to like go the fuck home, don't come back, you're banned. And yeah, I think she just takes this young woman back to her place just so she has like a place to crash.
We see a scene. We'll say. Yeah, it's during Have Yourself a Merry Little Murder, or it's at the end of it. And we see Alexandra has been taken away by Rosemary, and there is Celia and dear old Ches having their ice sculpture moment, and good old David Chin is standing in the snow with that light up Christmas sweater, and Alice goes up beside him, has 2 cups of hot cocoa in hand, and bumps into him and says, "Oh, cheer up, old sport. It's not always so bad. There's plenty of other fish in the sea." We see David go, "Yeah, but that was a marlin." And Alice just looks at him weird and goes, "Please do not compare my great niece to a marlin of all kinds of fish. Anything that's she's a great white, and you would have gotten eaten up whole." He chuckles and he goes, "Yeah, I reckon." Alice goes, "You reckon? You reckon? Seems like you're picking up one or two things hanging out around these old bones." And the camera just kind of pans over to David, and we just see him looking very, very intensely at Alice. Cuts next to the next morning. Alice is making coffee. She pours 1 mug and 2 mugs. And walks to her bedroom, opens up the door, and says, "Don't you think you should be getting ready to head out? Don't you have a tour or something soon?" And camera pans back around and you see David in bed, and he says, I reckon, but I might want to spend Christmas here. And that is instinct plus also burgeoning romance, those two crowns together.
I love it. It's not a May December. It's like that's a May April.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna do Muriel's a flashback of showing how she was an imperfect sister or daughter. I think this transitions from the diner scene, looking at her plate of food whenever it shows up, to a different plate of food on a much, humbler kind of display of just of simple, just like bread and some simple soup, and on a rough wooden table. And we are instead in a cozy Scottish cottage kind of out in the Highlands, not anywhere near the city, just a small little rural place. There's livestock out there, beautiful cows, and of just like thick thick-haired cows just kind of out in the field at pasture. It's like a beautiful kind of like spring morning, a little cool. There's a window open. A curlew is like singing from somewhere out in the field. And there's a young Muriel McGregor. And she is seated at the family dining table in their little cozy kitchen, currently dramatically dabbing her bread into the broth and just kind of like eating sullenly. And a woman kind of in a very nice homespun dress, apron, her hair kind of tied back, looks over and is like, Moo, you barely touched your bread, darling. You have to eat. And I love the way Scottish kids talk, because there's like, I didn't even want to, they're almost completely illegible. But she's she's kind of like pouting, and Muriel's mother just kind of like gives her a look, folds her arms across her chest, and just goes, are you still mad about last night? Oh, come off it, Moo. It was just a little, it was an accident. And young Muriel, or Moo as it was, it says, it wasn't an accident, it did it on purpose. And her mom was like, your dad did not do it on purpose. You are just being over dramatic. And Muriel like thunks back in her chair, kind of arms folded. And we can see that the story, like what the topic at hand is about, kind of drying over on the hearth, like socket drying rack, though, is this pretty like simple like drawing on a piece of just paper that she had been doing. Just Muriel apparently had some sort of creative bend as a child. She had done some kind of artwork on the she liked to draw plants at that age, and there is a heavy, thick, muddy boot print that has thoroughly stained the picture. And as her mom's saying, if you're going to color, you need to pick up your papers when you're done. Otherwise, your dad will step on them when he comes through the door. We've talked about this before, Muriel. It's nothing to... Don't go crying about spilled milk. And Muriel's just throwing a bit of a tantrum. Later, we see that she, while her dad is sleeping, she goes in and pours the rest of her uneaten soup into his boots in a petty act of childish, just a tantrum, essentially, which really ruins her dad's day later. So she was kind of being a brat. Did everyone else already do their Crown of the Wood? Oh wow, okay, everyone merged theirs. I'm
A lot of us, we merged a lot of ours.
Okay, cool. Then I'll just jump right into my Crown of the Woods. Flashback to when she acted on instinct rather than reason. So this is the older Muriel, but like not current Muriel. This is Muriel probably in her like late 20s, early 30s. She's married to Gavin. It's in Glasgow. Gavin's still working at the shipyards. They have not opened their pub yet. But they are out at a pub. And actually, this is the pub that they will later buy to own themselves under its older, much elderly previous owners whom they bought it from. Gavin is enjoying a pint with his fellow shipyard workers. He's still taciturn. He's still very stoic, silent man, but he's clearly in good company. Muriel, however, is just kind of enjoying a quiet moment at the bar herself. And there are some there's a man who enters the pub, and he's like very distinct from everybody else because he's actually dressed a lot nicer than kind of like the rougher dock and shipyard men that spend their time there. And a lot of the people recognize him because he's actually the owner of a few of the shipyards in Glasgow. And there's kind of that like tense silence of like, oh, why is he here? What's going on? And he comes by, he orders a drink. And he begins to talk to a few like hands on shoulders, like, how's it going, boys? Hey, good job today. Good out there, just kind of going around. But there's already the whispers stirring in the background of like, oh, are there more layoffs coming? Yeah, is another yard closing? Like, because that's been happening a lot recently. And Muriel's just kind of like stewing there at the bar, just eavesdropping. Kind of walks over to Gavin, and the man sits down at the table with Gavin and his workers, and starts like smiling, looks very pleasant. But Muriel is like squinting, eyeing, kind of white knuckling on her a glass that she's drinking from, and she's wondering what are they talking about because the men are all kind of stoic and hard to read. And she gets this sinking feeling that this high money flouting owner is going to be closing down another shipyard and ruining even more lives. And it cuts to outside the bar later when he's kind of out for a smoke. She kind of walks down and she goes, "Hi!" And like kind of like stomps over to him. She's like, "You think you're so big and mighty, throwing your money around? You know that you're closing these shipyards, ruining the lives of good, hardworking men and women, and making their lives at home harder." Just kind of like going in his face, and like the man's like on it, like, just smoking his cigarette, just like looking at this feisty, Scotswoman just like laying into him, and she's like, and she's like, poking him in the chest, and she's much smaller than he is, and he's just kind of like taking it with a bit of a laugh. He's like, "Oh, you think that's funny, do you?" And starts to like just really get into his face about it, and he's trying to get a word in, but she's not having it. And she actually like ends up shoving him hard. He tumbles over the railing into the water. He's fine, but he's pissed. And then we find out in the next scene as waterlogged, having fallen out of his jacket, was not a notification of dismissal that he was handing out to the workers, but rather increasing their pay because of their hard work. And the other shipyards, he wanted to reward them. And we actually later see that the following week, Gavin is let go from working at that shipyard. And it is a great shame to Muriel.
Oh, poor Muriel. Is that it for crowns?
Believe so.
All right, then let's do end of session really quickly. Yeah, so you did solve a mystery, so everybody gets credit for that first question. Rosemary, did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
I have technically become the an official.
I'll take it. Yeah. Did you
Um,
behave like a woman half your age?
yes. In regards to the questions, I'm going to answer that second question. No.
Oh,
Because I don't think it's the spirit of the move to spirit of the question to become an official, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
But however, becoming
I'll
an
buy that.
official,
Yeah, I'll buy that.
becoming like an official, I think yes, because like I'm arresting people at like in my 60s.
Yeah, I'll take that. Doll, did you share your wisdom with a young person?
I don't think so.
did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
Unless we count the guy at the diner, which I don't think I did.
Mm. Muriel, did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
I mean, I did hide the papers from Sheriff Hanscom.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Did you dote on someone?
Does the reindeer count?
Oh, sure. Yeah. You can have it. Alice, did you share a memory of a late family member? Yes, you did. Did
And the
you secretly
trooper.
undermine the authority of a local official?
Didn't come across him.
That is end of session questions done. Let's go over to stars and wishes. Whoever wants to go first, go for it.
Yeah, I got stars. First of all, just a general star for like being able to do a sweep week mystery now. So like, thank you, Jason, for introducing that. It's a lot of fun. I'm excited to explore like the non-murdery angle. But no, star to our theory, because like we said kind of in the moment, like I really felt like this was like the first kind of like murder suspect who was like, oh, this is like a big, actually like well-motivated plan, and they clearly have like a lot of skin in the game. That was really cool how that all came together. Jason, I got a star for you specifically about the roundtable discussion you opened up about how you achieve the opportunity of apprehending Alexandra. I've actually don't think I've ever seen that done before. Of like, I'd like you all to go like round robin style and like narrate how you contribute to the apprehension. That was really cool, and I actually want to start using that in my games now. I never thought about like doing that before. And my second Jason star, and then I'm gonna go back to the other ones, is I like that you've changed the hex files to fit Degoya County stuff. Yeah, like swapping out Sheriff Wolf with Sheriff Hanscom is really good. I thought that was great. Yeah, Alice, first of all, gotta say, love her romance with a younger man. Okay, I see that.
You said Simu Liu, and I was like,
yeah,
jumping on it. This is
I'm
my
like,
only
man.
opportunity.
Yeah, that's fair. I just really like that, like just also like narratively from like the candidate that you were trying to like get with your niece is the one you kind of end up hooking up with is really good. I love that. Doll, the continued misadventures of Doll Ryan just kind of existing in the world. The nose, I will always star when you mention a new place. Was it Jerry's Nose? That what it's called?
Jerry's
Up in Jerry's Nose. Hilarious.
Technically in Labrador, but that's fine.
Star to chaotic for Rosemary's death. I like you're immediately leaning hard into Pallid Mask, and it's great. Just like we're all gonna die. They're likely to kill us first. I don't mind if I die this way. I'm dying. That's hilarious. And do I have any other stars to throw out there? I don't think I do. So wishes. I'm excited. I wish I want to see. Oh, well, no, now that Rosemary's marked the Pallid Mask, I know that there are some prompts and some mysteries that are triggered by the Pallid Mask. So I'm interested to see that come into play now. I'm interested to see what shenanigans we get up to in this sweeps week mystery and how things might get even weirder. And I'm also just looking forward to like what mysteries await us in Brindlewood Bay. And if we're going to do any more sweeps week mysteries at some point, I'm just excited to see kind of where things are going from here.
I'll go. I really loved the beginning of today's session. Just the sequence of events was really fun, and there was just like so many fun like little. It really did had kind of a Knives Out vibe. It had kind of like there was a slightly like madcap vibe to it, which was really enjoyable. The solution was really good, as Alex noted. The theorizing was really excellent. This sort of like the B plot of like Ches and Celia and David Chen, that was all really, really fun. And I loved all the like subsequent twists to that little thing that happened today. Like even, I mean, obviously there was the thing with Ches and the ninth step, but then we also got the thing with David and Alice and all that stuff. So it was just really good stuff. Loved all that. I really quite liked the use of the Auguste Dupin move in Miles's study, because that move is really interesting, because like there's a couple of ways you can handle it as a keeper. Either like you have something in mind already and so you just say what it is, or the move is an invitation to create something. And so I a star for like kind of leaning into that chaotic, because I mean truly there was no gunman at the window
Mhm.
until you use the move, right? Now there could have been if you'd rolled a miss or something, obviously, but it's a little it's a little quantum ogre. But I think in the way this game works, it works. It's all about creating good story. So I really love
Mhm.
that. I very much enjoyed everyone's paint the scene answers today were quite good. There's a lot of fun paint the scene going on today. And yeah, the Hex Files, my wish is, I'm very excited to see the Hex Files unfurl more. A star for that, changing the facts about the people of Devilwood to be the see-through people, because that's going to have a big effect on the rest of the mystery. So that's a fun way to do things. Yeah, so just good times all around. Really, really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, I got echo a lot of the stars so far. Like, I I'm really into like how this mystery has been set up, especially with like the Cold Crowns mystery, like about like changing a very fundamental fact. So it's getting like a sort of Shadows over Innsmouth vibe of like very, very strange people rather than having like a strange event, sort of like. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Everyone's paint the scene prompts has been wonderful. Just of like, oh yeah, like there's been so many like terrible events, but it seems like everybody agrees on that it is the right thing. Like everybody's
Mhm.
like committed in its community. So that's a very interesting take. Uh, I just love like just like the scene with Alice, like Rosemary didn't like get to quote unquote do much, but like it's just like an ominous presence like right by you. Like that's the vibe I got. Like of like I seek comfort from Rosemary, but Rosemary is not helping in this situation by saying, "Oh no, we're gonna die" as the lights turn off. uh, 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 and this theorize was just really amazing. I know I didn't get to contribute a lot on the recording, but I did introduce the idea of like, oh yeah, that it wasn't both murders. So
Yeah, stars. Or do you have wishes? Wishes? Do you got wishes?
I'm excited for the
Mm.
upcoming mystery. That like I just I don't know where it's gonna go. That's like excited.
Yeah, I wanted to give a big star to Chaotic for kicking off that whole theorize, kind of like that like taking it like, because you did really kind of like, while we were like on break, kind of like really kind of like get the gears moving and everything, and like it was very much like building off of what you kind of financially established. So that was very cool to like be able to kind of get that collaboration going. Stars, of course, to Jason for just being able to keep focused while all this madcapness is happening all around, and bringing in also estate law into to help rationalizing some of our theory moves. It was great. Also the Hex Files, it's one of my favorite sweeps weeks, so it might be the first one in the book, but it's also first in my heart because I just think it's so great, as I love the X Files. um Amanda, I love Doll so much. Doll is a delight. If anything happens to Doll, I will murder everybody in this room and then myself, because like, God, just what a great character and so funny. And like your crown prompt answer was like so good. It was so good. I liked seeing that little like very touching side of like that, the very intimate touching side of Doll there. And then kudos to you, Xander, for not only the reindeer interactions, pushing to go backstage, because that was a key part of evidence that you found, that clue that kind of really tied together our theorized move together. as well as that your crown prompt as well. I think it's really, like, I don't want to say easy, but I feel like it's easier to kind of be like showing your maven in a good light. And a lot of the crown prompts do be like, oh, hey, talk about how your maven has failed in life too. But you really took something of like acting on instinct and being like, no, this is a moment that Muriel is not proud of because it led to so much pain. So that was very good. All in all, just very good. I look forward to next week. And I hope that April is a faster month than March so we can play again very soon. Yeah, that's me.
A lot of the stars that I have already been said. The paint the scenes stars for everybody for them. They were really, really great. In particular, I had a good laugh at the shorts guy reference that Wes said. There's always a shorts guy somewhere, even up here. Like, I'm in Edmonton's pretty far north comparatively, and there's 2 shorts guys that live in my building. It's weird. I really loved the wood carvings descriptions. They were really creepy. It really added a huge creepy level right off the bat to the mystery that I'm excited for. And that was on top of all the creepy stuff that happened in the car, you know? So I'm really excited about that. I love Sheriff Rosemary. I vote for Rosemary for Sheriff. I'm excited for that. It's going to happen. Alice's romance, of course, is wonderful. I'm happy I got to think of a way of how June and Doll would have met. Um, and like establish a relationship.
Mhm.
So I'm glad I was able to do that. Yeah, it just this was great. The theorized everything was great. This was so much fun. I'm really excited for the Hex Files. I'm also very Exiles obsessed. I was playing with my Mulder action figure while I was fidgeting, and I really think this might be a cool time for our cult move to happen.
Mm.
Yeah, that's my wish too. There will be no better setup for like developing an occult move than this mystery. So, right in the like fringe of Nagoya County, New Mexico, like do your thing. So I'm excited about that as well. Is that stars and wishes for everyone?
Indeed.
Oh, and stars to Jason for letting me steal your public access mystery for my paint the scene.
Oh, very good. Indeed. Awesome. So, yeah, let's go ahead and wave goodbye to everyone watching the video.